What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 24 driver career, and we are here for round number 13 of our Formula 2 season. We are fully getting into the business end of the season now. Just 2 more weekends left to go. We've got the 2 races here in Monza, and then we will have the final 2 rounds in Abu Dhabi. And I am looking forward to this one. You know, obviously we had a pretty good time of things last time out in Zandvoort. We managed to do the double against all odds, and well, I'm hoping that I'll be able to bag some more good points, continue doing a professional job here in Italy as well. Obviously, we have already wrapped up the championship. For those of you who haven't been keeping up with the season, we won that at the end of the Belgian feature race, and that was pretty good. And now it's just a case of continuing to do a good job, trying to increase my driver rating as much as I can to try and impress some Formula 1 teams and see what we can do. Now, it is going to be wet, at least at the start of qualifying, so we are going to need to make sure we sort of stay alert and keep an eye on any kind of weather changes or anything like that. Obviously, you will have seen just now I didn't have the best pace in practice, but it was okay. The thing I was most worried about was tyre wear, to be honest, because we were a little bit over on tyre wear, so that could be a potential cause for concern. We will see. Either way, we go out initially on a set of wet compound tyres, and the session was slated to dry up over the half hour, so you would imagine that I'll probably end up going out on a set of slick tyres towards the end of the race. But at the moment, everybody else decided to go out in these conditions on a set of super soft tyres, which I don't really understand at all. But in either case, it was dry enough for super soft tyres towards the end of the session, so that's what we've ended up going out on. It is still pretty greasy, pretty slippery on the track, but nonetheless, we've managed to find at least a little bit of improvement. Not a massive amount, granted. You know, considering that you'd be in sort of the low 130s, I would imagine, for a truly dry run around this circuit, but it is certainly faster to be on these super softs as opposed to being on those wet compound tyres. And so as we round the final corner, the Parabolica, you can see we're going to improve by probably about 4 seconds by the looks of things here. As we come on the run to the line, it's a 140.0, and that is going to be good enough for pole position. Yeah, we went out pretty much later than everybody else, so it was pretty trivial in the end.
Time to leave for now, but we'll be back tomorrow when the feature race gets itself underway.
Oh, look at that. Brad Benavides in P4. What a result for my teammate there. A great result from the American driver. Meanwhile, nobody that I'm kind of keeping an eye on really did anything particularly spectacular there, apart from, you know, Brad Benavides up there in P4. Pretty happy with his performance. You know, we have a chance to win the team's championship this weekend. So yeah, hopefully we will be able to go and do that. But in any case, it is time to get into the sprint race.
So today, the sprint race, no pit stops, just full on pace. It's all about speed, daring, and sheer driving skill. What, I wonder, is in store for us today? Monza is situated 12 miles northeast of Milan. It's 3.6 miles long and offers 11 corners. 7 of those are chicanes, putting a premium on good braking stability and traction. With a good slipstream plus the other 2 DRS zones available, there should be a good number of passing opportunities on offer. It's Formula 2, it is the sprint race. I'm Alex Jakes, Alex Brundle is alongside me. Now Alex, there's no mandatory stop in the rules, but this is Formula 2. Anything could happen.
You go for a little more, a little earlier, using a bit more of that harder compound of the 2 tyres available per weekend in Formula 2 to try to steal a march. And equally, if you have a bit of a bump, not so much of an issue. You're going to have another go tomorrow.
Alright, well, here we are. It's time for the sprint race, and you can see we're going to be going on a set of medium compound tyres to the end of the race, and hopefully that shouldn't be a problem. Like I said, I was a little bit concerned about tyre wear, but supposedly, according to the sort of Pirelli data we've got, the mediums can do 16 laps around here, which you would anticipate probably will be enough. That even if I'm doing you know, a little bit more on the tyres than most people, that the tyres will be able to get to the end of the race without too much of an issue. You know, we were probably doing about 120% of the wear that they were expecting. So, yeah, probably last maybe like 13 laps or something like that. So for us to do 11 laps around here should be absolutely fine. In any case, we're starting P10 here, obviously. Sprint race, reversed grid. I think we're all pretty familiar with this by now. So hopefully I'll be able to make my way up into the points by the end of the sprint race. But we'll see what we can do as the lights come on. And the lights go out, and we've had a decent getaway here, I think, compared to Teo Pourchaire. But that said, it's a long run down to turn 1, so easily in the second phase we could see what is going to happen as we try and make our way down. I lifted off the throttle a little bit there, and we've been spun around. It's Victor Martins, I think, on our inside, or maybe that's Cordial, actually. I thought that was Martins, but it's not, I don't think. Either way, there's going to be a red flag as a result of that. Everybody queued up at the chicane in turn 1. We just got turned around there. We got big floor damage as well. Yeah, that was it was pretty crazy. But basically, I was trying to avoid going into the cars in front, and so I moved over to the right. And I think I just had Cordial a little bit closer to me on my right than I realised. And as a result of that, we got spun round, and that is going to be big floor damage for us. Fortunately, we're going to be restarting in P9 regardless. So we'll see what we can do once again as the lights come on. And the lights have gone out once again. We've had a decent getaway here compared to Isaac Hadjar, but I did check and the floor damage has not really been fixed. You know, the team can only do so much during a red flag period to try and fix the car. And yeah, the floor damage is still there, so we're going to be significantly down in performance. And we've braked way too deep into turn 1. We're going to have to take to the runoff area here, and this race is just an absolute unmitigated fucking disaster so far for us as we plummet down the order all the way into what is going to be P17 here by the looks of things, as we fall behind Juan Manuel Correa. I eventually did say his name correctly, which I'm pretty happy about, but yeah, we are now going to have to work very hard with this floor damage to get ourselves back into the points. There's a good start though as we go up the inside of Juan Manuel Correa and we make our way into P16 in this race, but still we need to make up 8 positions in the next 8 laps if we want any chance of scoring points here today. It's seeming pretty unlikely, I must imagine. And the other thing to keep an eye on is the fact that I actually switched over the set of medium compound tyres that I was running on, and that is not something that I was able to control. The team just say, okay, these are the tyres you're going on to. I can adjust my strategy, but I can't adjust which set of medium tyres I put on. This is actually something that I have a bit of a massive gripe about in the Formula 1 games, is that you can't choose which set of tyres that you are going to use of each particular thing, as we sustained more floor damage there from Oliver Behrman. We went down the inside of both Hauger and Behrman, and maybe we pinched Behrman too much to the inside of the corner, I don't know, but either way, we did get a bit of floor damage from him. I think he picked up some front wing damage as well. So yeah, just overall this race has been really rough for us so far, as Behrman is going to try and come back at us, but I think we are going to be able to lead through the next chicane. But yeah, what that means is that we're going to have 2 used sets of medium compound tyres going into the feature race, which means we're going to have to go a bit longer than planned, I would imagine, on a either on a used set of mediums or on a set of super softs. We're going to have to go, you know, probably 8 laps, which is exactly what they're anticipated they're able to do, as we try and dive up the inside now of Johan Daruvula. Can we get up the inside of Isaac Hadjar? No, we can't, unfortunately. We get a bit of front wing damage, and I'm just really not finding the braking point down in turn 1 right now. It's way earlier than I think it is. I guess the floor damage is causing us to have reduced braking performance around here. But now we've got a warning for track limits. We've picked up some front wing damage now. Daruvula now getting back past ahead of us as well. And we've been set an objective. Basically, stop going off track is what they're telling me. And so far you can see we have done a pretty good job of that. We've spent a whopping total of 17 hundredths of a second off of track. And actually that's not correct. 17 milliseconds off track. And once again, we've gone very deep here. We're going off track again, and we're going to get a penalty for this, surely. Yeah, we cut the corner. We obviously gave the positions that we gained back from that, but my goodness, this race is just an absolute shit show for me. You know, this is a reason why you can be glad we have the sprint races, because I can have a race like this today, and we can still recover everything in the feature race tomorrow. But as we make our way onto lap number 6, we are now keeping an eye on this guy, Roman Stanek, in the Trident. He is going to be retiring from the race. He becomes the first retirement from the sprint race here today, and that will be him pulling over. And now we can have a look at the replay camera here, which is I believe this is me just behind Hadjar and Daruvula as it was before, but we've also got Dennis Hauger just behind us, and he's looking for a move, and I think that he's actually managed to make it stick into turn 1 and 2, and you can see we're coming under a bit of pressure from the Van Amersfoort car there, I believe, of Juan Manuel Correa. So yeah, we're actually down to P15 now, and Dennis Hauger has got ahead of us. And also got ahead of Isaac Hadjar here by the looks of things. Daruvula is starting to break away in front by the looks of things as we make our way onto lap number 8. Can we get an overtake done here on Isaac Hadjar as we go up the inside? We're going to try and go around the outside, and with him squeezed to the inside of the corner, we are able to make our way back up to P14. But you can see that Hauger now has broken that DRS range to me, so we're going to have to push really, really hard to make sure we keep Hadjar behind. Fortunately, we're able to do just that. I think Hauger might have sustained some damage or something because he is falling way off the back of his teammate Jahan Daruvula now. He is 3 seconds down on the Indian driver, and so on lap number 9, if I try and get ahead of Dennis Hauger here, which we're actually going to do around the outside, switch this to the inside on the exit of the chicane, and I think we may have been able to make this move happen. Indeed we have. I think this will probably be the last overtake we're able to make, and now it will be more of a case of how much can we break away from the cars behind in the next few laps with that 3-second penalty. And the answer when we make our way onto lap 11 is that the gap behind is now 2.2 seconds. So I think we have a pretty decent shot actually, as there's a yellow flag here down at turn 1, and you can see that's a car parked round on the apex at turn 1 and 2. That is Zane Maloney, so he's out of contention for points here today. Probably a disappointing result for him after what could have been a points finish, I would imagine. But yeah, as we speed through the lap a little bit, you can see the gap behind to Juan Manuel Correa, which is a name that I really just want to say less and less. We are 3.3 seconds up on him at the moment, which means that as long as we can maintain this gap to him behind, we will be finishing P12 here in this absolute monstrosity of a race, this absolute abomination of racecraft that we have seen here today. Somehow I'm going to be walking away from it with a P12 finish, which, you know, we started P10. That doesn't even look that bad. That doesn't even look like it was a bad race for us. It just kind of looks like it was just kind of a race that we didn't really do anything in. Enzo Fittipaldi crosses the line to win, but we are going to come on the run to the line to finish P12.
Brilliant stuff from Carlin today. What a superb victory.
Well, sprint races are basic, aren't they? And that's why we like them. Set them all going and let them have at it. And they really showed the racecraft and pace that you need to win them.
And there you have it, today's winners. Having raised some of the biggest names in F1 to date, Carlin have once again shown their expertise when it comes to recruiting new talent. No doubt today's winners have a bright future ahead of them. They certainly deserve it after today's performance.
Well, one of our main characters has made it to the podium here today. Richard Verschoor ended up coming home in P3, but yeah, a bit of a surprise there. Enzo Fittipaldi grabbing the victory there. He's not done too much this season, but a decent performance. You know, Jack Doohan's kind of been there or thereabouts on the fringes of the top 5, and he gets on the podium as well.
After all this drama, you'll be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
So Brad Benavides ended up coming home in P5 in that race, which is pretty good. It means he actually made up positions through that race, as you will see in a second. Oh, P6 actually, but still, yeah, he made up one position in the race. Not clear who that was on. Looking at the order here, I think it was Zane Maloney actually, by the looks of things. So yeah, Maloney really kind of bottled it at the end there. I think Oliver Behrman with that front wing damage he picked up from me, that kind of hampered his race as well. And then Dennis Hauger as well, he picked up some sort of damage. So really the target now has to try and have a bit of a cleaner race, you would have to imagine, in the feature race. You know, I'll be starting from pole position. It should be a little bit easier to make our way into a decent position. There we go. You can see me getting turned around by Cordeal there. I think that was a 50-50 racing incident. I didn't really have anywhere to go, but neither did he. So it ended up being what it was, and that was that. And yeah, we need a better race in the feature race. We can't afford to have another race like this. Not because of my championship, obviously that's all wrapped up, but because I don't want to embarrass myself on my route into Formula 1. You know, I want to make sure that my driver rating can be as high as it possibly is. You know, I want to make sure that I can, you know, have a really impressive CV going into Formula 1, which hopefully will impress a lot of the Formula 1 teams that even if, you know, they don't sign me in my first season, they will kind of be looking fondly upon the heroics I showed in my Formula 2 season, and kind of remember that and kind of go, well, you know, this guy was really good in Formula 2 and then he's come into Formula 1 and he's done a professional job for whatever team he comes into, so hopefully one of the top teams will come knocking, you know, sooner rather than later. That would be the ideal situation. But yeah, I mean, I anticipate going into Formula 1, you know, if we can get a bit sort of fourth wall breaky for a second. I'm really going to struggle because I'm just going to keep the difficulty at what it is at the end of this season. At the moment, this race was done on 104 AI difficulty off the back of what has been a really strong run of form for me over the last, you know, few races. But we're going to be going down to 103 for the next one. One thing I know for certain is that the AI difficulty has increased a fair amount in this year's game. So I've been racing primarily in sort of the 80 range in Formula 1. So I think we're going to struggle a little bit when we get there. But now it is time to get into the feature race.
Welcome everybody to the heart of Italian motor racing, Monza. We're here with Formula 2 for what ought to be an extravaganza of excitement and action. Let's head to the start line and get underway. Monza is one of the faster circuits in Formula 2, comprising some very long straights and tight chicanes. The engine spends so long at full throttle, in fact, that engine failures are not an uncommon sight here. On top of that, the 3.6 miles of track are pretty hard on the gearbox too. We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Robinson lines up on pole position, and starting alongside in P2 is Teo Porcher. Looking down the rest of the grid we have Hadjar, Benavides, Clermont Novalak, Owasa, Fittipaldi, Vachon, Maloney, Jack Doohan, Crawford, Cordial, Victor Martins, Ollie Behrman, and Deruvala, Correa, Miney, Dennis Hauger, Vesti, Stanek, Boschon, and Arthur Leclerc completes the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's get down to the track. It is the Formula 2 race. It is time to introduce you to Alex Brundle. I'm Alex Jakes, and we've got changeable weather out there today. That's making for some nervous team personnel down in the paddock, down in the pit lane.
Well, uncertainty is what strategy's all about, but it absolves the teams from the responsibility of running both compounds of tyre. They might have to use that wet tyre, of course, and then the question is, where do those crossovers lie between the wet and dry conditions?
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Well, this is the problem. We have identified the problem, and once again, you know, it took us 13 race weekends to have this problem, which I'm pretty happy about, because I had this problem in basically every single race I did in Formula 2 on F1 23, and I realised that this in large part is due to due to the fact that there were no DNFs in Formula 2 until like last race weekend, the first race that we did on the new patch. So I spent ages mucking around with this, trying to see if we could make a one-stop happen. But the problem is that they're not putting me on those medium tyres that I was on for 2 laps at the start of the last race. They are putting me on the medium tyres that I finished the race on last race. They're putting me on the medium tyres that I did 9 laps on, and they're saying those are the ones that you've got for the race. We're not letting you go on the ones that are 2 laps old. Those ones would have probably been okay, you know? We probably would have been able to do something with those. With these ones, we're going to have to do a 2-stop race. Nobody else is going to be doing a 2-stop because everybody else will be doing the strategy I wanted to do. And this is why I was worried and apprehensive about doing a Formula 2 career mode. Fortunately, it hasn't had too much of an impact, but on last year's game, for those of you who maybe, you know, watch my Twitch streams, I did a whole Formula 2 season on F1 23, and it was so bad, I ended up not even finishing it. We were a few races away from the end, but it was just every single race we were having weird glitches with the tyres, which, you know, because there were no DNFs, no red flags, anything like that, it hasn't made a massive impact on this career mode, but this is the first time that it has, so we're going to have to see if we can do anything as the lights come on and the lights go out. And we've had a decent getaway here compared to Théo Pourchaire, and yeah, we're actually going to be holding on to the lead quite nicely here, though Théo Pourchaire looks like he might be coming back on the run down into turn 1. Is he going to look for a move up the inside as we go into turn 1? Yes, he is. We're going to be wheel to wheel through the next sequence of corners, banging tyres. He's got the outside line through the chicane, and Théo Pourchaire takes the lead of the feature race here in Italy. Brad Benavides, meanwhile, is up to P3 now, having started P4. So we've got 2 PHM cars on the podium, and hopefully we will be able to maintain the 2 PHM cars on the podium by the end of the race. We try and dive up the inside of Théo Pourchaire, but you can see that the grip is not there for us at the moment, and Théo Pourchaire only extends his lead by me doing that. He's extended the gap to 0.5 of a second. Brad Benavides behind is closing me down by quite a lot as well, so we're going to have to try and lock in now, heat up the tyres as best we can, and go again and see if we can get ahead of Théo Pourchaire before he breaks away out of that DRS range. But obviously this is all right now, really, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking this is all for naught, because we're in a situation where whatever happens, whatever set of tires we go on to, we're just gonna be down and out. We're gonna have to do 2 stops in this race, which means we'd have to be 20 seconds faster over the course of the whole race in terms of our performance, just to be back where we should be realistically, which is just immensely frustrating. It's immensely frustrating. You know, these things happen from time to time. Like I said, more than anything, I'm just glad that that I find myself in a position where it's not going to have an impact on my championship, because last time I raced, I very nearly, the F1 23 series I almost didn't win the championship off the back of the glitches that happened, even though I was, you know, utterly dominant. And speaking of utterly dominant, I think we're going to look for a move on Théo Pourchaire here. He actually locks up down into turn 1. I think he would have held on to the position otherwise, but he was so desperate to hold on that he ended up locking up and losing out on the position, and now it is a 1-2 for PHM Racing right now. Myself and Brad Benavides, and Benavides is lapping slightly faster than I am right now, and he's actually going to go for a move, I think, by the looks of things, down into turn 1. Could Benavides make this happen? Yes, he has. We have to brake nice and early there to make sure we make the corner. Benavides doesn't have the same problem. He's a lot more confident on the brakes than we are by the looks of things, and as a result, he's taken the lead of the Italian Grand Prix here, and now we're going to see if we can get back ahead of Brad Benavides. But meanwhile, Théo Pourchaire is going to try and get ahead of both of us, and I think he's actually going to do it by the looks of things. Théo Pourchaire down into turn 1. We're going to try and hold him off around the outside, but this is just like lap 1, and you can see on the outside, the exit of the chicane, it is definitely the superior line to be on. Brad Benavides has fallen all the way down to 4th. He was in 1st just a couple of corners ago, and now Pourchaire, myself, and Hadjar have all gotten ahead of him, so hopefully he can bounce back and get himself into a strong position. But as we switch to the replay camera here, we are going to see the first retirement of the race, and that is going to be Jack Crawford in that high-tech car. It is all over for the American driver here, unfortunately, and yeah, will be a disappointing outcome for him. Meanwhile, we make our way back on board with myself on the way into lap 5, and you can see that I'm going to have the DRS now on Théo Pourchaire. We're going to look for the outside line here, which, you know, maybe this isn't the play, because we're going to switch to the inside line for the next corner. We're going to come under attack from Isaac Hadjar here, but I think we're a little bit further ahead than we have been with Pourchaire on the times we've been racing him, so we've held off Isaac Hadjar for the time being, but who knows what is going to happen over the course of these next few laps. We're going to be boxing at the end of the next lap, so hopefully as long as we can hold on to the lead for a little bit longer, we should be okay. We've been set an objective to achieve this average lap time of a 1:36.1, but I mean, look, who knows if that's going to be achievable or not. We'll have to wait and see as we make our way onto lap number 6. We're coming under pressure once again. It's Isaac Hadjar this time, I think, who looks to be piling the pressure on. But could it be Théo Pourchaire, actually? Yes, we've blocked off Isaac Hadjar. He tried to look for a route through, couldn't find it. Benavides has got through as well by the looks of things, and Théo Pourchaire has made his way into P1. I think this time we may be able to just about stay ahead of Benavides, but he's kept his foot in the whole way, and now he is on the inside of me through the next sequence of corners. Is there a chance that he could make his way up into P2? You know, I think he's going to do this. He just seems to have a little bit more speed in that car than we do, and Brad Benavides is going to take P2 in this race, and he's now going to be the one to set off after Théo Pourchaire in the ART, leading the Grand Prix at the moment. We're going to be coming in here at the end of lap number 6 for our first pit stop of the race. They've postponed our objective, of course, because that is not something that we need to be worrying about now, really, to achieve that average lap time, but we will see whether we get another objective like that later on in the race. But yeah, we are going to be boxing now onto that set of medium compound tyres. We're going to be going around on them. They're not even going to be faster than this isn't even going to be an undercut, is the thing, because these tyres are going to be so slow that they're not going to have enough of an impact to really make a big difference. So we're going to be on these medium compound tyres. Meanwhile, because there's a yellow flag, because there is a car that I was going to say seems stopped on track, but actually he's just going incredibly slowly. So I'm very concerned now that that might bring out some sort of red flag or something like that if we're not careful. So we're going to have to keep an eye on what appears to be a Trident. That must be Roman Stanek, I guess. I don't know what's happened to him that's made him going that slowly, but that is a massive cause for concern right now for my race strategy, because we are in an incredibly vulnerable position where a red flag would legitimately put us down in P20. So we just need to try and put that out of our mind, try and push as hard as we can on these medium compound tires that are already worn out like crazy, and yeah, see if we can get ourselves into a position where hopefully we can at least hold on to some semblance of points. But the red flag's out. That's it. That's game over. Honestly, thinking about it a bit more, this might be good. And I know what you're thinking. How is that possibly good? I was going to be 20 seconds down on everyone, right? This is what happened. Roman Stanek, he got a puncture. So I'm not the only one that's having tyre issues here today. Roman Stanek pushed so hard on whatever tyres he was on that the tyre, the rear right tyre, literally just gave up. Just failed on him into Ascari, and that was the end of things. But yeah, the reason that this might actually be good for us by the looks of things is because it means that we can get that second stop for free effectively, which means that, you know, we're still in P20, but we're not 20 seconds down on everybody else in P20. So as we go, once again, the lights come on and the lights go out, and we've had a decent getaway here. Obviously the super soft tyres are going to be pretty good here to start with. They are slightly worn, but not too much. I don't know what these tyres are. That means that they, you know, have already been slightly used, but it doesn't really matter, to be perfectly honest with you. Maybe they're the ones I used at the end of qualifying, actually, thinking about it. That would make sense, right? We only did one lap on them, so that might be why they're not quite as worn as you would expect a set of qualifying tyres to be, and that means we might just have enough life in the tyres to be able to push all the way to the end of the race. But I mean, look, these are going to go off way quicker than the rest of these tyres of the medium compound runners around us are going to go off, because these are the medium tyres. You have to remember that these are the medium tyres that people did 2 laps on in the sprint race. These are not the ones that people did lots of laps on in the sprint race, because the red flag was suggesting I actually did a 3-stop, and I stopped off of these tyres once again as we go up the inside of Martins and Behrman here, I think, as well. Yeah, the red flag strategy was suggesting that I do a 3-stop, which would have been to go onto the other set of mediums, the one I did do 2 laps on in the sprint race. If you're not following along with this tyre strategy at all, I don't blame you, because it's incredibly confusing. I've got a headache just trying to describe it to you. And yeah, it really just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't know why they weren't going to put me on that set of medium compound tyres to begin with, you know, unless they preempted there was going to be a red flag on lap 7 or something. Either way, like I said, it's kept us in the fight. We're currently in P12. We might be able to fight for 1 point here, potentially, if we can have some good pace around here. But we went way too deep into the chicane there, and all that's going to do in the long run is hold us up to the cars in front. 2.5 second gap to the DRS train in front of us. It's going to be really hard to close that down, especially at a track where the DRS is very powerful, like Monza. We're going to be coming under a lot of pressure from Oliver Behrman in P12. Speaking of Oliver Behrman, I don't know if anyone else has seen the reports. This is a real-life report that Oliver Behrman apparently is going to be driving for Haas next season, which is really exciting. You know, I'm a massive Haas fan, I think, as most people know, so I will be cheering him on every step of the way. I think he's a great driver. Obviously, I'm sad that we're losing Hulkenberg, but I'm glad to get him. Meanwhile, Victor Martins locks up into turn 1 and kind of shoves us out of the way, to be honest. That opens the door for Hauger and Behrman as well, so we've gone from P11 to P14 in the space of 1 corner there. That was absolutely devastating. And yeah, Victor Martins' lock-up there just absolutely destroyed any semblance of you know, any sniff of a points finish I might get now, probably, you would imagine, unless there's another DNF up front or somebody spins. Maybe we have another Maloney moment or something like that, but otherwise we're going to be walking away from this weekend completely pointless. And the tyres really started to go off after that point. You can see it's like I'm driving on ice now. The car is oversteering and understeering absolutely everywhere. I'll be lucky to keep Juan Manuel Correa behind, and I'm mad that I even have to say his name in this race, quite frankly. But yeah, as the cars in front are all battling away for a non-points finish, we are going to round the final corner, and this is not going to be the race that we wanted, but maybe the race we deserved as we cross the line to take P40.
Well, what a drive it was to take the win for PHM by Charouz today.
and they've won the team's championship. Utterly brilliant. Such a small group of people that can work on these Formula 2 cars, and the driver is the hero of the day for that team.
Here come our winning drivers then, out onto the podium at the end of a thrilling race. The drama and excitement are over, and it's time to let it all sink in. Congratulations to our top 3 today.
There is a certain irony to this, in my opinion. Brad Benavidez obviously winning the race here, a great job from him. But there's a certain irony to the fact that this is the race we won the team's championship at. I scored 0 points. Brad Benavidez was definitely the guy for us this weekend, and as a result, he's the one that gets to celebrate winning the team's championship for the team. It just feels a little bit bittersweet, I can't lie.
After all this drama, you'll be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
So yeah, it was Hadjar and Novalak completing the podium there. Good result from them. Pourchaire ended up in P5, so I don't know what happened with him. But Fittipaldi also had a pretty good weekend, getting that sprint race victory and then finishing P4 in the feature race as well. This is the final running order. You can see there we finished P14. Not great for us, but we still have a 140-point gap to the nearest car in the championship. So hopefully F1 teams look favourably upon that. Meanwhile, Brad Benavidez is getting his way up into P12 now. He might hit 100 points if he can have another great weekend in Abu Dhabi. But we have just one race weekend left, and it is that weird part of the season now where you can see we've clutched the team's championship as well. So great job from Benavidez. But yeah, it's that weird part of the season that we now have like a 2-month break with no racing whatsoever. Like 2-3 months we're just not racing. So who knows what could happen in this time. There's a 2-3 month period where you would have to imagine that maybe some F1 teams are going to start knocking on the doors. There's still a few drivers who are out of contract at the end of the season, so maybe they think about kind of putting us in a position where we can try and grab a seat off of some of the other drivers or something like that. But surely something has got to give, right? We can't find ourselves in a position where we don't have a Formula 1 seat by the time we make it to Abu Dhabi in 3 months' time, right? There's been lots of drivers who've been just incredibly underwhelming this season. Like Zhou Guanyu, if I'm being honest, Kevin Magnussen as well. He's not had the best of seasons. Nico Hülkenberg, by comparison, he's been kind of cropping up with these decent performances every now and again. Qualifying seems to be a particularly exciting thing, but Kevin Magnussen's not really even putting himself in the position to score any points at any point. He's not having qualifying anywhere near on par with Nico Hülkenberg. So surely we don't see Kevin Magnussen retaining that seat if there is someone as talented as I've been proving myself to be in Formula 2 coming through the ranks this season. It has to be a swap there potentially, or at Alfa Romeo, which by the way I've heard supposedly is rebranding itself next season as they're going to be sponsored by Stake, which is an interesting choice of title sponsor. A little bit kind of shady in my opinion. So I don't know. There might be grounds for me to not join that team, even if they do offer me a contract on kind of ethical grounds. I'm kind of not really in support of their sort of brand identity, I suppose, and I don't know if we would be a particularly good fit. I wouldn't want them to find my Twitch streams where I spent a lot of time slagging them off, only to then end up racing for them. So we really now just want to find ourselves in a good position where we can confirm a seat on the Formula 1 grid for us next season. But here we go. This is the kicker now. We are going to take a big hit in rating here today. Our awareness somehow has gone up. I guess the feature race wasn't too bad awareness wise, but our racecraft has dropped, our pace has dropped, and we very nearly dropped down to 76 rating. So we can see the reasoning for all of this, the justification for all of this. So the experience obviously has gone up because we did finish the race. Our finishing position versus our starting position is the reason why we took such a massive hit there in the racecraft department. 13 positions down on where we started, but that's not really entirely our fault, you would have to say. Meanwhile, the fastest lap glitch thing is still in effect. That's why our pace took a big hit there today. We kind of have to get the fastest lap in the race if we don't want the pace to go down. down, and yeah, we've just overall taken a big hit to some of our stats. So yeah, next weekend in Abu Dhabi, the goal has to be to do the best job I can possibly do to make sure that that rating doesn't drop all the way to 76 before we make it into Formula 1, because you know I want to make absolutely sure that that I am in the best possible position to really cement myself as you know, considered to be an up-and-coming talent for Formula 1. I don't want to just kind of be a Logan Sargent type character where people are a bit perplexed about how I actually am in Formula 1 in the first place. But that is going to be it for this video, so if you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.